You know, I had a conversation with Good Old Games a few days ago, and there's a lot of legality and contracts and paperwork around the whole sponsorship thing. And I said, look, guys, let's just do something unofficial. How about this? If I need a game and you've got it, I'll drop you guys a message. You send me back a code, get me the game. When I do the video, I'll just say, they send me the game. We don't need to get the lawyers involved. We don't need paperwork. We don't need money. We don't need contracts. You do that. I do that. We keep it at that. You benefit. I benefit. Nice and easy. And they went, yeah, that sounds fine. And you know what? They've been great so far. They've been lovely. It's a gentleman's agreement, and they've kept it. I think that a lot of stuff can get way too corporate all the time. Everything has to be corporate all the time. Everything has to be business. Everything has to be contracted and official. And I understand that contracts are there to protect both parties, but I've done business with people before that I trust. And they've done business with me, and they trust me, and it's been mutually beneficial for both of us. And I believe that's what the Good Old Games kind of thing is with me. It's not a sponsorship. It's a mutually beneficial gentleman's agreement that they will occasionally sort me out with game codes, and I will occasionally shout them out for giving me game codes. Done. Right, the fact you remained extremely unsponsored in your video, the amount of money I have turned down from sponsorships is insane. Now, I'm in a very privileged position to be able to do that because I just don't have super expensive taste for stuff. If I'd have wanted a Lamborghini, I could have had a Lamborghini about 2 or 3 years ago. I don't care about any of that. If I'd have wanted to, you know, gild my toilet, I could have probably just taken all of those Raid Shadow Legends sponsorships and done that. But I've taken some sponsorships out of companies that I agree with and companies that I like. I'm working with Gamer Subs right now. You know what? Their flavors are absolutely banging. The new raw meat flavor, which is watermelon flavor, is genuinely delicious. And you can get 10% off using code Josh at Gamer Subs. If you type !Gamer Subs, you should be able to pop it on. But no, I really like Gamer Subs. And I've worked with Jagex for RuneScape. I've worked with Guild Wars 2. I've worked with Elder Scrolls Online for a little bit as well. Things that, you know, companies and products and processes that I would feel confident in working with and in saying are great. The contractual obligation fulfilled, I'll stick that little graphic on in a second. But as far as sponsorships go, you shouldn't dislike YouTubers or content creators who take sponsorships. That's fine. We've all got bills to pay. We've all got different levels of lifestyles. Some content creators make a bit of a joke out of it by saying, you know, oh, I want all the money, all the money, all the money. Here's the truth. I would love a lot of money, but what I would love more is for the videos and the content that I create to still be relevant 10, 15, 20 years from now. And the best way to make things relevant is to just make them entertaining and good. Like, I go back and I watch old comedy TV shows, I watch old films, listen to old music, you know, read old books, that kind of stuff. And I like the fact that they just put what they were creating front and center. I've got a very successful Patreon, and all the Patreon supporters are the reason that I can turn around and say no. I mean, I was contacted by World of Warcraft recently, and they said, hey, do you want to do a sponsored thing for the War Within, which is the new thing coming out? And I said, no, not really. I know that World of Warcraft obviously is the biggest MMORPG in the world. I'm sure that it would be amazing to my career to be involved with that. I'm sure that I would meet people, and I'm sure that they were offering a boatload of money to do it. In fact, the amount of zeros that were on the contract was quite impressive. And I just said, I don't think my audience want this. I have, for a long time, rallied against a lot of the choices that the industry has made. And while I know that I'm sure at some point in the future I'm going to have to become a hypocrite and take the money from someone, that day is not today. One day maybe. You can take the sponsor money if I don't want it. Okay, cool, I'll let them know that. I will let them know that. But if I want to, and this is what gets me, and I've got some friends that have done this which have really annoyed me. If you don't stand up for what you believe in, eventually you have to admit that you don't believe in it. And if you say that you value something, and then someone comes along and offers you a lot of money to take a stance or to make content that effectively nullifies your statement saying that you value something, then what you actually mean is, I like this, but I would be willing to change my position for enough personal gain. And most people would do that. Most people would change their position on most things for a lot of personal gain. You are not wrong for doing that. You're not inhuman for doing that. People say we've all got our price. If someone came to me and offered me like an 8-figure sum of numbers for me to make a video saying that something was great, I'd be like, I'm listening. I'll consider that. That's generational wealth right there. My mum, my dad, they weren't rich. I don't come from money. My parents were working class who were able to push themselves up into the middle class of the UK, and that was great. And we were comfortable, but we had a mortgaged house and a car as a family, which was great. But if someone comes to me and says, hey, do you want enough money that your family and lineage, if I ever do have kids, which I probably won't, will be sorted for the rest of time, I'd be like, I'll consider that, because I would be okay with people hating me if I was able to provide a lifestyle that people want for the next 4 or 5 generations. Why not take the money and then do something better with it? That is another question. And this is a really interesting discussion. I will get to playing Fallout in a minute, don't you worry. We'll start playing Fallout soon, but this is pretty much what the stream is. It's just us talking about stuff. So if someone comes along and offers enough money, you do have to sit down and consider, right, people will dislike this. What have you stumbled into, Fox? You've stumbled into a discussion of, as a content creator, I do not take that many sponsorships, even though I get offered a great deal of sponsorships. Should I? Should I take sponsorship money, which would, in my mind, end up creating worse content because you would have a permanent advert within that content forever? But should I then use that money in order to, create something else, to support something like that? It's a complicated thing. Profit versus integrity, but at what point, what would I sell my integrity for, provided it benefited somebody else? I mean, if I were to take a massive payday and then go and turn around and spend all that money on, setting up education or supporting charities, that'd be interesting. That would be very interesting. Just start the OnlyFans page. Oh, it's being worked on, don't worry. Eventually, as soon as I need to, that'll start. I've got nothing against doing that. I'm just lazy. That's all it is. So, I think, again, I was never a good businessman. I was great at creating content and acting, but I was never a good businessman. So when people used to come along and say, hey, we'll give you more money to do this, I'd be like, no. Nah, not really. I'm just going to sit and play Neverwinter for a bit. Workout streams. Workout streams will be there if I can get a gym set up at some point. I really want to build like a garage gym or something. That'd be cool. Set up like a table within there to play Warhammer or Magic the Gathering on, that kind of stuff. So, YouTubers and content creators that take sponsorships. They've got bills to pay. Let them take sponsorships. You can't hate them for doing it. But ultimately, making as much money as fast as possible was never the goal of why I started this. And I've done well. But I'm still at a point now where I will say no to a lot of things because I just don't think it would create the best content. And I understand that's a remarkably, some would say, arrogant position to be in. But I need to make sure that my income is whelming. It needs to not be overwhelming. I can't look at it and go, oh, goodness. Can't be underwhelming. Can't look and go, oh, God. I've got to look at it and go, that's it. Whelming. Whelming at every point of my life. Continue to whelm.